Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you to my colleagues on the Congressional Black Caucus. The American government still owes a debt. The Congressional Black Caucus has always been at the forefront of fighting against systemic racism. Systemic racism, however, has been a cancer on the skin and the fabric of this nation that has not been remedied, it is only deepened. And H.R. 40, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals, is the answer to the original sin. It is, in fact, a restorative and repair approach to the extreme disparities that rendered and exhibited the horrors of the killing and the murder of my former constituent, George Floyd. His family still lives in Houston, and they too are wanting justice in the passage of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. But as well, we understand that the disparities that are so stark, that are reflective of the brutality, of the cruelty, the fundamental injustice and humanity of slavery have never been answered. The key question here is that as the slaves were freed, there was no tangible wealth given for their work of over 200 years. That lack of wealth reflected in the anger and anguish of those who received them that led into a broken Reconstruction, Jim Crowism, 4,000 African Americans lynched, and then a period of attempt at civil rights and the loss of the civil rights battlers, in essence, on the civil rights battlefield, affirmative action now being attacked, and now we come to a point of enormous disparities in healthcare, in the idea of wealth, the idea of education, and the idea of disparities in youth and housing and the justice system. Finally, I would say, to the question of those who ask, I did not have slaves. My family did not have slaves. This 13-member commission established by the federal government answers the question that is not the individual act of holding slaves. It is the government sanction that denied African Americans their equality, and as well, the government's responsibility with this 13-member commission to design the responses to the continued death, murder, and inequities in our community. This is America's responsibility to pay, the American government's responsibility to pay her debt.